Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome in to GarageBand Weekly. My name is Pete Johnson. For the next hour or thereabouts, we're going to be talking about GarageBand, Logic Pro, Apple news, recording news, batteries. I don't know. I just bought a new battery and I'm a bit excited. I hope you're doing well. If you've got questions, I've got answers, or at least I've got a wonderful chat room of folks who can help answer your questions. So if you've got any of those questions, all you need to do is throw them here in the chat. Put a big Q in front for me. That'll help out. That'll let me know that you have a question. I'm just going to lead with the news, which is that we have a brand new Logic Pro for iPad. Yes, if you've been under a rock and you haven't seen the thousands of videos about it, we got new features here in Logic Pro. We've got a new stem splitter. We've got the new MIDI learn feature. We've got new normalization. I'll be playing with them a little bit here on the show, but I have gone through them in other videos, which you can check out in the description or over at Studio Live today. Here's a little tip for you, a tip for young players, if I may, and that is if you ever want to find out anything, just go to YouTube. I've got a story in the news and notes in a minute about the fact that YouTube is now the #1 streaming television search. It's just everything now, and it's kind of insane. So if you want to find out anything about anything, put my name in it, and then what you're looking for. So for instance, if you want to learn about Logic Pro version 2.2, all you need to do is go Pete Johns, Logic Pro 2.2, and there it is. If you're into the GarageBand world, because this is GarageBand Weekly, if you go GarageBand Pete Johns Automation, you want to learn how to automate in GarageBand, right? Yeah, look, I've got videos about why your things might be yellowed out and how you change that, how you can automate your guitars, how you can fix the automation bug that is still there in GarageBand currently. Hopefully we get that fixed real soon. So anytime you want anything, like yes, you can go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. That's like the old school way, right? But just use the tools that are there with you. Or, grab ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, who's the greatest GarageBand guy of all? And they will say, Patrick Baird from the GarageBand Guide. And I'll be like, and then I'll go cry into my cornflakes. We'll say good day to the folks who are here live with us, and then we'll dive into the news and notes. We've got a little bit to talk about. I've hand-selected just a couple of news items that I thought were interesting and slightly Apple and music related. G'day to Tremor Bear, digging the new avatar there, Bear. G'day to Paws and Guitars. Hello to Thomas Christ. There will be no tickling of nickels today. Except there probably will be. Hello, Jamie Lynn. Hello, Deep Gravity. Hello to scrolling up, Mark Bro. I like Mark Bro. He looks like that's his friendly bouncer pose. He's like, you want to come in, eh? Not in those shoes. I like it. G'day, Emilio Gamboa Leon. Yeah, you know what? Feel free to chuck a like on there. There's 20 of you eyeballing me right now. And yeah, we've got about we've got 9 likes now. So you don't have to like. If you don't like it, don't worry. I won't cry too much. I will cry a little, though. G'day, Joe and Barry. Glenn, hello to Tres Verde and the Perspectives. Sitting outside with my portable party speaker, drinking some beer. Hello. Well, it's 8:30 a.m., so I'm on the coffee personally. But I respect you. And whenever I see Tres Verde, I think of a Christmas tree. Your logo reminds me of Christmas, and I'm sorry. Hello to Leela as well. Thanks for being here. G'day, good dickle to you. If you missed, I don't like it when you join a stream and there's these private jokes that are happening and you don't understand if you weren't there. So let's catch you up to speed. So last week, on Your Music Live, for some reason there was eggs reference. I mentioned something about eggs, or someone had a song about eggs, and we went down this whole egg shoot, this egg chicken trail, and we talked eggs for the entire show. Yesterday, I unfortunately, the phrase tickle your fancy? Yeah, I don't know if it's an English phrase or an Australian phrase, but it's like, oh yeah, that song really tickles my fancy. It's already a weird way of saying something. Unfortunately, instead of saying tickle my fancy, I said that song really tickles my dickle. And yes, bring on the dickles ever since. So we have to go with that. Onions and dickles on my burger. Yes. There you go. You can go the pickles and the dickles. Exactly. So it's been a little bit weird. It's been a bit strange. maroon and green. Yeah, I don't know. It's just from a distance with my old man eye. It just I see triangle and green with like decorations on it, and I think Christmas. It's a good thing. You know what? I kind of need to make a shirt. By the way, speaking of shirts, I've just ordered myself some samples so I can actually show you what they look like. But if you go to studiolivetoday.com/merch, instead of going to place that shall not be named, it'll now take you to my new Fourth Wall store. Apparently, Fourth Wall are taking over the world, which is a good thing. But Fourth Wall, can I please just say this to you now? Please, for the love of your deity of choice, don't do what other people did and change your name to Fourth and then try selling 7,000 more items, and the quality goes down and the delivery times go up and everyone gets really unhappy, because that made me look a bit crap, to be honest. It did the opposite of tickled my dickle. Yeah. Anyway, it was not good because people were waiting literally months for their shirts and their mugs. Well, apparently Fourth Wall are better. I've got a shipment coming so that I can check these out, but we have the classics. I've started simple, folks. We've got the absolute classic mug and shirt. You can get the big or the small mug, so 12 ounce, which is around about this size, or if you want, I've ordered the larger one because I wanted to see just how large it was. And, the only thing better than coffee is more coffee. So I've priced them reasonably. It was 12, or I think $15 for the mug, $25 US for the shirt. And apparently Fourth Wall. People like Gary Hubbs and people that I trust are using Fourth Wall and raving about Fourth Wall. So I'm not going to mention the name that Jade's mentioning there. I did last week if you want to find out who it was. But now we're moving on to Fourth Wall. So I'll be hopefully wearing the new shirt and using the new mugs soon. I love that they got the black mugs too, because everywhere else you can get the mugs with the inserts, but like the pure black mug. So yes, it's just an excuse for me to drink more coffee, isn't it? All right. Let us dive into the news and notes. These are all down in the description. If you miss anything, there's links to the articles and the sources and everything down there as well. Guess what? Your smartphone, your iPhone. Yeah, all the biggest names in tech are saying you won't need a smartphone. Elon's like, why do you need a smartphone when we can just implant something in your brain? Zuckerberg's like, why do you need a smartphone when you can wear one of our MetaQuest nerd helmets? People like Bill Gates like, why would you need a smartphone? I don't actually know what he wants. Digital tattoos is one of the other things that they're mentioning. Obviously, the AR glasses. So Meta have got their AR glasses as well as their MetaQuest. You got the big nerd helmet from Apple, and people are speculating that Apple are bringing out more goggles. There's talk of smart AirPods. So as soon as you sort of connect your AI assistant, and I can vouch for this because at the moment, and I think Jade Starr, who has been doing the same sort of thing, you load up the ChatGPT app and you go into voice mode and you just have a conversation. And look, yes, they burn down a small forest in Brazil every time you do it. So do I feel very guilty about it? A little bit guilty. But it's really rad because it does things. So I hate to say it, but in the news and notes section, the articles that are in there and the summarization of those is from ChatGPT because anyway, it's helping. And as long as it's helping humans and not, destroying humanity, that's a good thing. And the reason this is Apple related is that old mate Tim Apple has said, you don't need, no. It's still, iPhones are more than 50% of our revenue. So iPhones are going nowhere. So it's like the oil titans over in the UAE going, what? Wind and solar? No, oil's going nowhere. The value of oil is higher than it ever has been. It will always be needed because of course they do. So yeah, you got to take this with a pinch shaker don't do that. A pinch. I'm not doing myself well this week. There's going to be a blooper reel of Pete. It's like, tickle your dickle. Anyway, smartphone. So what do you think? Smartphones being replaced? Do you use your smartphone as much as you used to? I use mine more. So I don't see myself using it less, but I do like the idea of going hands-free. So I mentioned this last week, I don't like Ray-Bans. I wear Oakleys. If Apple had an Apple Oakley cross-branding thing, and I said it last week, if they charged me $1,000 for smart glasses that had the bone conducting things, that had the microphone, that had the camera, I would buy them. I would pre-order them this second because that's the value proposition I want. So yeah, for that sort of stuff, for the ability to be able to walk around and just go, beep, hey, ChatGPT, tell me where I'm going in life. Tell me the meaning of life. And it'll be like, I am just a robot. I cannot. Oh, I want to see if I can get a robot voice for it. That'd be cool. Oil Titans use large aircraft. Oh, by the way, I'm not talking about the T word and I'm not talking about that guy at all. That's all I'm going to say about that. I've decided this week it's that guy free and it's the T word free. Let's do it. Yeah, can't leave the house without it. Yeah, the visual aid, wasn't it great? Wasn't it great? I'm stupid without. Yeah, I'm that way too. Do you remember? Like, you know that the Guinness Book of World Records. Here's a bit of trivia for you. By the way, if you're new to this show and you're like, "What? Where's the GarageBand demo, doofus?" Yeah, this is the show. The vast majority of it is us just having a chat about things and having some fun and making up some memes. And then we will get to some GarageBand and Logic stuff later. But yeah, we like to have a little bit of fun with it. What was my point there? The visual, no, I can't leave the house without it. Yeah, so I'm kind of the same, that I can't leave the house without it. I've got my watch, and yeah, that does most things, but not everything well. I've got my AirPods and my watch. That paired is actually pretty good. But yeah, I just fall back on my phone. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The Guinness Book of World Records. That was invented by Guinness. Yes, it's the same Guinness as the delicious drink. And it was actually invented to be put in pubs so that when there were two blokes that had a skin full of piss, as we'd say here in Australia, they've both had 7 Guinnesses. And they're like, I reckon the maximum number of ping pong balls anyone's ever put in their mouth is 12. And the other bloke's like, 12? You got to be bloody joking. That's my accent. You got to be joking. I reckon it's 14. And then another bloke's like, you're both mad. It's 15 for sure. Let's give it a crack. And then they do. But then the bartender's like, lads, check out this book. This has got all them numbers. If you want to know who the tallest man is, the shortest elf, it's all here. And they're like, oh, blimey. Thank you, Cam. No accent. The good news was, no, there weren't any accents. Nothing no one people can be offended because none of those accents sounded like any person living or dead. All right, should we move on? Thom Yorke. Thom Yorke, yeah. So he's dropped some new tracks for Apple TV. So there's a new series called Smoke, and apparently the official premiere release for a live-only version, Gawpers. So I kind of like this crossover. I like when artists... So the domination of Apple TV and Disney and Netflix and all this stuff. So the dude from... who's the dude that does the Ted Lasso song? From the band that play all the mandolins and ukuleles and stuff. Well, Mumford of Mumford and Sons. He's done all the music for Ted Lasso, and that's cool. So anytime that Apple are paying musicians to make music, and as more and more streaming stuff comes on board, and there's more video games and there's more YouTube videos, I think the market for sync licensing, so making music to go in videos, is going to be massive. So at the moment, most videos use the YouTube audio library. Like, you've listened to them, haven't you? You've heard those videos and you're like, this soundtrack to this video sounds just like this soundtrack to this video. That's because they both went to the YouTube audio library and said, cool ambient funky jazz for background or video. And they just grab these tracks because you can use them for free. You don't get copyright claims, and that's a good thing. Whereas it's wonderful to see that, for whatever you think of Thom Yorke, and if you don't know, he's the Radiohead lead man. We don't like playing Creep anymore. We didn't want to sort out. Again, not an accent. Can't get in trouble. But it is good when there. I know I'm doing it again. I can't do it. I do a good Aussie accent. Cheers, Tremor Bear. Let's throw another shrimp on the barbie. Let's have a Foster's. You know what? I think the whole Foster's thing and shrimp on the Barbie thing is so played out that it's actually cliche now to say. Like, the amount of Americans must be so sick of us telling you that we don't throw shrimp on Barbies and that we don't drink Foster's, that I think it's flipped around. It's gone full circle back to it. So I think I'm going to ironically throw shrimp on Barbies and drink Foster's now. Just to, how you embrace it. It's like Pabst Blue Ribbon, how it was always the old man beer that no one drank. And then all the hipsters started drinking it, ironically. And then people realized actually it's not that bad a beer compared to like Coors Light and Miller and Bud. So then they just started drinking it more, like for reals. I think I might do that with Foster's. There you go. Yep, we're doing it ironically. Mumford's your boyfriend. Oh, he is. Tell you what, he's a handsome lad, and he's a very talented lad. Yeah, for sure. I was going to use. No. Move on. All right, let's talk about it. Logic Pro. Yeah, I know. The third item here is Logic Pro. Gets a, what do they say? Gets a creative power up, is what the article said. So there's an article there from the, what is it from? Economic Times. So I like to get articles from sort of because look, muso articles are just going to say, hey, it's great, everything's good. So Stem Splitter, MIDI learning, and recording recovery tools are the headlines. And it is there on Mac and iPad. So let's not forget that our Mac friends got it updated. And in fact, the Mac version actually got updated to the last pack, the Magnetic Imperfections pack that was only on iPad for reasons unbeknownst to anyone but Apple. That's now on the Mac version as well as the iPad version. So if you're on Mac thinking, why do we get less? Well, now you get all the same sort of stuff. So has there been some controversy with this release? Yes. And to be honest, I tried to make the thing happen that people said can't happen. I'm a simple man, right? The reason I use GarageBand and I don't use Logic Pro for much apart from kind of the mixing process at the end of a project is I don't use things like sidechaining and multi-stereo out effects and things like this. But apparently, if you're into your sidechaining and you're into using multi-out stereo effects in Logic Pro for iPad, you've got problems at the moment because there's bugs reported that most people are like, it's a bug, we'll report it and hopefully they fix it. Some people are losing their ever-loving mind. And I'll remind you that it's a bit like when people watch a sporting game on the weekend and their entire weekend is ruined because their sport ball team loses. And I get it, I love sport, I love hockey. My Vegas Golden Knights got bundled out and I was sad for about 10 minutes until I realised that it's a game and it doesn't matter. And it's the same with this sort of stuff. Yes, look, if your livelihood depended on the sidechain function working, you updated it, and suddenly you can't make your sync licensing music for that big Apple TV show that you are about to submit to, I can understand you being very, very furious about that. If you're a hobbyist and you're creating music and one thing doesn't work, use a different plugin then. Like, there's other sidechain plugins you can throw in Logic Pro. Just make a different type of music that doesn't need sidechaining. I know, I'm going to get, not hate, because no one hates me. I'm going to get strongly worded emails about it because just like I say, developers deserve to be paid more. People should be paying more for apps. I'm also going to say people kind of need to settle down a little bit when it comes to updates because yes, is it sad that when things get updated, something else fails? Yes. Is that the very nature of computer code, that sometimes there's unintended consequences when you improve something and something gets worse? Also, yes. But the only thing that you can do, the only thing you have control over is, one, reporting the bug, because please don't complain about it unless you reported it. And two, yes, you can vote with your wallet. Don't resubscribe to Logic Pro. Let them know by not resubscribing and go use Aurea. And then come back to me in a week and tell me how frustrating bugs are. Just saying. The grass ain't always greener on the other side. I know. We thought the salary cap era, sport. If you don't like sport, sports, tune out for the next minute. But we really thought that the salary cap era would fix all of this stuff. Because like if you look at the Premier League in the UK, yeah, same teams at the top all the time. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, yeah, Saudi billionaire comes in, throws money at Man City, and suddenly Manchester United were always a great team and Manchester City were the crap team when I was a kid. And then Manchester City suddenly just got this massive, giant truck of cash and bought all these great players, and now they're the best team. It makes a bit of a mockery of it. And what the salary cap's supposed to do in sport is say, right, every team can only spend up to this limit. So whether you're a rich team, whether you're the LA Kings or whether you're the Winnipeg Jets or whether you're the Florida Panthers, you can only spend a certain amount. Now, some teams still can't even afford to spend that much, so there's still inequity in it, but you can't spend more than that. If you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and you're in a massive market, you can't just pay a player $20 million when all other teams can only pay them $10 million. So that was supposed to fix this. Yet somehow we're at the point now, whether it's through the the analytics stuff that they've been doing, or through the fact that there's sort of deals that are mismanaged or bad coaching or bad managing. But yeah, you have the same teams showing up in NBA, in NHL, in a lot of these places. I do actually, not as often as I should, no, more often than I should. I do love Tim Tam biscuits. I don't know if you have this in other countries, but they now have ratings. They have a 5-star system for how healthy something is on the packet. And I was like in the shops the other day and I'm like, oh, I might just grab a packet of Tim Tams. Oh, yeah, have a Tim Tam slam with me cuppa. And I looked at it, it had half a star. And here's the thing, it's not even a star rating overall. It's not like, well, of course it's half a star. If an apple's 5-star, of course Tim Tam needs to be half a star. No, it's within its product category. So in the correct category of biscuits or cookies, it's half a star. It's the worst one of the worst category. So I put the Tim Tams back and I went and bought some strawberries instead. True story. The strawberries were terrible because it's nearly wintertime here. But I felt better. I felt better. Yeah, the record recovery is actually good, and I should call it that in my. In fact, let's update my thumbnail right now, because what did I call it? I should have called it record recovery, because that's a much catchier title for a video. What was my thumbnail called for this feature? This is relevant. I called it always recording. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going with this. Hang on. Let's fix this in real time. Record. What was it? Record recovery. Yeah, and look, it'll look much better because I'll be able to put like the record next to the record light. Record recovery. Oh, how much better is that? Yeah, I'll make that white. This is what we do around here, folks. If you came here for just the GarageBand stuff, yeah, you get to watch a man update his thumbnails for his videos. So I reckon that's much better. Record recovery. All right, let's save this out. Let's put this in my video. And if you want to, you can watch this video and learn about the record recovery feature. We'll demo it too. I'll give you a wee demo of it in the second half of the show. But for now, you're getting the behind the scenes stuff. There's today's show. There's my news and notes. I've got one more thing to talk about. We'll talk about that one more thing, and then I'll totally forget to go back and change that. Solrack M7, I've tagged your question. I'll answer that after the news and notes as well. Where the grass is greener, it's because it's got more manure. Ha ha ha. Yes, and they are delish. In moderation, a Tim Tam can't go wrong. Or mint slice too. If you ever get an Australian stuff, if you see mint slice, I'm not a big peppermint fan, but dark chocolate peppermint, also half a star, so terrible for you, but really tasty. I used to have a friend who worked at the Arnott's. So Tim Tam are made by a company called Arnott's, who are we're an Australian company. I'm pretty sure they were sold. They're probably owned by, what's that company that owns everyone, that owns all the brands, P&G Group or whatever. Anyway, I had a friend who worked at the Arnott's factory. And when she worked there, she would just get all of this Arnott stuff, like all the seconds. So she would come in. Actually, no, it wasn't her. It must have been her mum that worked there. So she'd come into work and she'd have shapes, which are the savoury biscuits that they make by Arnott's, barbecue shapes, pizza shapes. They were great. And then she'd just have these big ass packets of like Tim Tams that fell off the production line and were seconds. And yeah, I think I put on about 3 kilos while she was working with me. All right, Al Davis got your music as well. The other news and notes I thought I'd just mention here, and is this a little self-serving? Yes, but did you know that the number one US TV viewership is here? TV viewership. And I want to put this out here. In fact, let's make this a poll question. I'll actually use the poll for something useful for a change, because I want to know. I want to know. Do you watch YouTube on a TV? So as opposed to a computer monitor, or as opposed to a phone or a tablet, I'm going to just go yes, often, yes, sometimes. We'll add an option here for yes, tests, yes, rarely, and no. So we'll do a quick straw poll here with just the folks that are watching this live and see this here. Big ass, big ass, exactly. A big ass box. So yeah, let me know what you think. But it's really interesting that especially in the younger demographic, and by younger, 18 to 49, but particularly 18 to 25, 25 to 35, it was for a while there, people weren't watching their TVs at all. And now, because in the last 10 years, every TV you buy, what does it have on the remote control? Has a Netflix button, but it has a YouTube button. Or if it's a smart TV, you very at least have access to YouTube as an app. And you can control it with your phone even. You can sign in and log in. You don't have to do that painstaking login with your remote control. Use a QR code. Bob's your uncle. So, yeah, and it's become to the point now where more people are watching YouTube on their TVs than Netflix. Did you think that we'd get to a time where more people, 12.4% of TV viewership is YouTube in the US, and only 7.5 is Netflix? Isn't that amazing? So live sports, podcasts, live streaming, long form content is becoming a lot more popular. And you might be thinking, but what about the shorts? Well, yeah, what the shorts are becoming is the discovery engine. So people are sitting on the bus stop on their phone, scrolling through shorts, and then they might see a short for something that's like a clip, a 30-second clip of like a long-form documentary or a long-form video essay. And they're like, oh, I've always been interested in basket weaving in Belgium. So you subscribe, and then when you go to your TV, what happens? Basket weaving in Belgium, expanded edition. Watch the 1 hour video of me weaving this one basket in Belgium. And you're like, huh, I didn't know that existed. So yeah, it's becoming interesting. I have a Chromecast, but rarely use it anymore. There you go. I use Chromecast to send full shows from YouTube to the TV and sound system. There you go. I like it. Cool. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Procter and Gamble. I think that's who it is, isn't it? That's who I was trying to think of. Procter and Gamble, who own everything. Or who's the one that, like, Johnson and Johnson? I was blown away. Johnson and Johnson have their little powdery fingers. I thought Johnson and Johnson made like baby powder and lotion. They make everything. Like when the vaccines were happening in COVID, Johnson and Johnson were one of the big vaccine producers, and I'm like, holy dooly! I did not know that they were this big. Anyway, mostly just stream these days direct through apps. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's surprising again how much of the time. And I must admit, we do it. So I would answer yes, and pretty often to that, because if we want to watch something on YouTube, like as a family, sometimes we'll sit down and we'll watch videos. We like doing quizzes. So there's this YouTube channel called the Quiz Channel, which we watch. It's got theme music. So whenever I'm hanging out with Georgie, we're like, oh, what should we do? And Georgie's like, they're like, yeah, let's watch a quiz channel. So we watch the Quiz Channel. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about me and what goes on around here. Let's close off that one. We'll end the poll and we'll see what you say. What say you? What it come out as? So 30% said no, 30% said yes often, 20% yes sometimes, and 20% yes rarely. If you're watching on the replay, let me know. Let me know if you watch YouTube on your television and how often you do that. Interesting. Interested to know. Alrighty, we are going to, if I can press the right buttons here, we are going to take ourselves a wee break. So speaking of YouTube, and speaking of streaming, and speaking of people that make a living from YouTube, we're going to have to run a little ad. So you may be seeing an ad right now. If you do, I hope it's for something cool. If you don't, they don't think you're valuable enough. If you're not seeing an ad right now, either you've watched lots of ads recently on YouTube, or you're in a demographic that the advertisers are not interested in. And I know, isn't that sad? That there's some people that are more valuable to advertisers than others. And there's some types of content that's more valuable. People think that the YouTube, that I have any control over the YouTube ads. I got zilch. I got no control over the YouTube ads. They will serve based on you, not based on me. Yeah, pretty evenly divided. But I dare say, in the nicest possible way, we are at the older end of that demographic. I'd say if this was a stream of like, yo, brah, fire or nah, we're all 18 to 25, we've probably got lots more people watching, lots more YouTube on their TV, or on their parents' TV, perhaps. Question from Soulrack. I sent you a message earlier, but I didn't know if you read it. Is there a way to assign the new track button or browser button with MIDI assignment? The new track or browser? Great question. Hold that thought, because I'm going to jump in a minute, and I'll see if we can actually use a button on here to attach that. So what, new track or the browser button. Interesting. We'll check it. Can I assign the quantize to my keyboard and does the flashback or whatever called drain my battery? The flashback, so that's a really good question because it's always recording. Does it drain your battery? It must do it a bit more than before. But to be honest, I don't think, based on everything else, just sitting and recording one input, which is all it's doing. So the way it works, well, let's dive in because we're going to start talking about this anyway. So the way this works is that when you're here and you go to record something, so let's fire up this and we're not recording right now, it's not doing anything, right? So right now it's doing nothing. When you play back, it's already using processing power. And then all it's doing is also recording in what you're playing. So if I hit play here, we'll turn it up. So I played that in. If I stop, I didn't record it right, but it was recording. It was recording that track. So it's not going to be using significantly more battery than if I just was recording the track. Because there's not a whole lot of difference in processing of recording one extra track as opposed to just playing back all the others. The beauty part is with the record, what is it? Record, recover. We can now hit this button and it comes straight back. So that MIDI part that I played in quite poorly there is going to be there. So that's rad and a good thing. So yeah, it does the same with your audio. So do I have my mic plugged in? I do still, because I've been testing and recording and doing things recently. So if we add another audio track here and we set it up on my microphone, it's going to do the same sort of thing. So we can, come over here. So we can do the same thing. Not record, let's hit play. So what I did there, Soul Rack, is I set up a new audio track and I recorded, but I was playing, not recording. But if I hit the record recovery, there we go. The flashback capture, I'm able to actually have that little doobie that I did. What was the other thing you said? The quantize to my keyboard. Sorry, one sec. I just need to unplug and replug. It's done the weird thing with my USB there, and I'll replug and have a coffee. Hope it comes back. It has. Oh, I've just moved it. That's why. Must lock this in. Every week I say this, but I must hire Thomas Christ to become my personal Ecamm advisor at some stage soon. Because I need to learn Ecamm a bit better than I currently have it. Quantize. So yeah, let's talk MIDI learn. So I don't have my second camera set up today, but I'm going to hold up my MIDI keyboard here because I'll show you how we can actually use MIDI learn, and we can hit a button over here and then create a connection to our MIDI keyboard. So the MIDI learn button is up the top here. If you haven't already added it, you hit the top right here. You go customize control bar, you go to other, and you go learn MIDI. And yes, Apple, because Apple call it Learn MIDI, despite the fact that it's pretty much everywhere in the industry called MIDI Learn. It's a bit like AI being Apple Intelligence instead of artificial intelligence. Apple just got to be that little bit different. I mean, they did warn us. They did say think different, didn't they? And they do it now. They act different as well. So I've got my MIDI keyboard here, and you'll notice that the little MIDI light, so here in your, you can see when you're actually tapping something MIDI-fied because the little light will come on here. So every time I'm sending a MIDI signal, whether it's a knob or a button or anything, the little blue light comes on to say, yes, the MIDI is being sent. And the same with received if it's sending MIDI to your keyboard, but I don't do a lot of that. So let's turn on MIDI Learn. Let's just remove whatever I've got there I was playing around with. So what can we do? So Soul Rack was asking about the browser button. No. So you're out of luck, which is weird, isn't it? Wouldn't it be nice if you could do that? So these are not functions that you can learn. So for those that are looking here, the functions you can learn with MIDI Learn are the ones with the blue dotted outlines. And unfortunately, things like bringing up your play surfaces, going to your mixer, bringing up your browser, none of these are available through your MIDI Learn function. So I guess that answers that question. What else did we have? Is there assigned to a new track or the, yeah, so browser, no. New track. Let's just move this out of the way. Can we do new track? No. Isn't that interesting? Wouldn't you have thought that new track would have been a really good thing if you just had a button that you just went bump and it opened up your new track? No. So there is a keyboard shortcut for new track, if I can remember what it is. Hold down the command key. Whoop. Let's see. I don't use the keyboard shortcuts anywhere near as often as I should. Oh, Learn MIDI has a keyboard shortcut. There you go. Command L if you're using a keyboard. Search and Select also has it, which is no. It's what is it? Control Command. Control Command T is search and select track, and Control Command P is search and add plugin. There you go. So go to beginning. Is there an add track? Maybe I'm lying. Maybe quantize. So you can hit Q on a keyboard to quantize, delete, duplicate, add region, add track selection, add track selector up, add track selector down. So yeah, so you hold down shift and up, or shift and down to add a track. So if I wanted to add a track, so I'm going here between my bass and my guitar. So if I hold down the shift key and hit down, nope, that just selects. Now I don't know. I thought that's what it said. I thought it said shift and down and shift and up. Select. Maybe I didn't get the shift. Add track selection. So it's add. So, okay. So, no, you can't. Because when it said add track selection, it just means you hold down shift and you press up and down, and it will select the tracks above and below. So, as far as I can tell, new track is something that not only has no keyboard shortcut, but you cannot MIDI learn. If someone else has other information to the contrary of that for Solrack, then do let us know. Yeah, look, I'm awful with shortcuts. Trevor Bear says, 2 of our doggos are afraid of the TV when it turns on. We very rarely turn on our TV. There you go. Our dogs like it. Our dogs are soothed when the TV's on. As soon as we turn it off, that's when they come looking for us. So, do we sometimes leave the TV on to soothe our doggos? Yes. Is that a great thing to do? Probably not. Probably not environmentally. And yes, doggos, we have a second dog now. I'll introduce you to our second dog at some stage in the future. Do you think GarageBand iOS is here to stay, or do you think Apple will deprecate it down the line as they improve Logic Pro on iPad? Let me go on a quick rant about this one here, Al. Yes, Logic Pro will get all of the attention from the Apple developers. We've seen it already that GarageBand hasn't had an update in a long time. The last GarageBand updates have all just been bug fixes, stability improvements, and new sound packs. So we got the Toaster Nabasi pack, we got the Magnetic Imperfections pack, and now we've got the new Dance Floor Rush pack. All of those have been added to GarageBand as well as Logic Pro. What we have seen though is that even the sound packs have been cut down. In fact, we were going to show this anyway, so why don't we go and check this out? Where were we? So if you go here into Logic Pro, because I wanted to show you this anyway, we do have a new sound pack. It's pretty rad. If you go into, where am I going? We'll come out of there. We'll just go into the browser. Sound pack, sound library. We have the Dance Floor Rush pack. So, and you'll see here on Logic Pro, it gives you 400 Apple loops, 40 Alchemy synth sounds, 10 drum machine designer kits, more than 200 samples, and 1 live loops grid. Now, if we compare that to the GarageBand, it's quite different. So the sound pack over here in GarageBand is significantly limited. So if we go to the Dance Floor Rush, we have the 400 Apple loops, 3 drum kits, and 1 live loops grid. And now the main reason for that is that you don't have the drum kit designer, you don't have the ability to use samples in Logic Pro, so that makes sense. But the Alchemy synths do not. Until the last 2 packs, all the Alchemy synths that were added to Logic Pro were also available in GarageBand. So they're not adding, and look, it may be because those Alchemy synths are actually using some of the samples from the pack, and the way Logic uses samples into Alchemy with Sample Alchemy is different to the way that the Alchemy synth works in GarageBand, because it's all baked in. So you can't just assign a sample into Alchemy synth in GarageBand, but you can in Logic Pro. So yeah, so I say all that to say, is GarageBand doomed? Will it be gone forever? No, I think it will remain. But in terms of them continuing to update it and add new features and make it very significantly different in the future, no. I don't think we're going to get new features in GarageBand. If anything, if I keep hassling them, maybe eventually one day we'll get the ability to turn off auto normalization. Please, please. But outside of that, no, I think it's going to be bug fixes, stability improvements, and they'll keep adding packs. Why won't they ever get rid of it, though? Both on the Mac and on the iPad and on the iPhone. Because it is part of iMovie and GarageBand are part of why some people just get a Mac or get an iPhone or get an iPad. Because even though they're not the best, they're kind of not even the industry standard, but they're the user standard. So if you're a consumer as opposed to a prosumer or a professional, you're going to use GarageBand or iMovie. If you just want to edit together those holiday or vacation clips and make a movie, iMovie is perfect for you. If you just want to mess about with some loops and some drum samples and some sounds, GarageBand is perfect for you. And it is. It's the gateway. It's the reason you would get into it. And I am case in point. I didn't use Apple products until I bought my first iPad and iPhone. I didn't come in until iPhone 4S. So iPhone 4S, iPad version 2. So I was late to the game by Apple fan person standards, but I got into Apple stuff because it was the best smartphone and it was the best tablet. I still used PCs exclusively. Windows was what I knew. So for me, I didn't really want to have to learn something new. And I then went to start to create music, and I realized that the stuff that I was using on my Mac was no good. It didn't work as well. So I wanted an easier way to make music, and that's where I found GarageBand, first on my iPhone 5. Actually, no, it was the 4S. So the 4S, because it had the old dock connector. So the iPhone 4S was the first iPhone I used. My iPad 2 with the old button and the big chin. Used that, the GarageBand on that, version 1, before it was even version 2. And then once GarageBand 2 hit, and it added things like effects and plugins and all the rest, we were off to the races and kind of never looked back from that. So I think they want more people to be me. They want the current 15-year-old that is making the choice between Android and iOS. They want them to choose iOS because they're like, GarageBand and iMovie are just built in. And sure, you can get FL Studio Mobile, and sure, you can use CapCut, and sure, maybe some of the kids are doing different things these days, but Apple will continue banking on being iOS. Cubase's 3 on iOS will add similar features to Logic. Yeah, look, I feel bad for Steinberg. So Steinberg are the makers of Logic, and Steinberg are the makers of Cubase and Cubases, and it's like they come out with a big update, and then Apple come out with a bigger update. And there is an absolute advantage to being the default platform, I guess. So when you make the hardware and the software, you do have a little leg up on the competition. Just is what it is. It's why people use Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel on Microsoft Windows. It's why people use Numbers and Keynote on Apple devices, because they're native. It's a lot easier for them to work more effectively and efficiently. G'day, David M. Do I still use Windows for anything? I don't. I thought I would, but I don't. I'm actually all in on Apple now. So and I actually haven't used Windows for a while because I had a Chromebook previously. So I used to have a Windows laptop and a Windows desktop, and I'd use both of those for streaming and for music creation and for all my creative stuff and everything I did. The Windows laptop got very slow and very old and very clunky. I gave that to my daughter. She gave it back recently. She's like, I don't want this anymore. I have my school laptop and it's better. I'm like, fine. And my desktop is sitting down there gathering dust. It's very old. It's a very old Core i5. It's reasonably spec'd for the time, but yeah, it wouldn't hold up today to anything. I'm thinking of dusting it off just to play some old SimCity games or something on it, because I do like, the one thing I do miss is Steam and PC gaming, but I've kind of get my feel from that through PlayStation 5 at the moment. So, yeah, I don't use Windows for anything. To be honest, the only time I use Windows is when I'm helping my dad because he's still on Windows. So, I get the frustration of him through things like his Windows 10 insisting on updating to Windows 11, and he keeps saying no, and eventually it just did it. And so now he's on Windows 11, which I've never used. and don't have a heap of desire to use. Apparently it's good for some reasons, but also not good, like most things. Still use PC and Mac, old games I want to run. Yeah, and apparently there's a way to run, you can use virtual machines and stuff to run old games on Mac using a Windows emulator. So maybe when I get some time, whatever that is, I'll be able to do that in the future. What about Quantize? Yeah, you did ask about Quantize as well. Let's come back over into Logic Pro and we'll talk about Quantize. All right, are we in Logic Pro? Yes. Let us load up that project we were just playing with over here. All right. So Quantize, depending where we do it from, let's go MIDI learn. See, a lot of the stuff that's deep in there doesn't have an option to do it. So because there's no Quantize button per se, it doesn't really have, no. Short answer seems to be no. I've gone into Quantize in the edit menu. It's opened up the region editor, Quantize over there. So no, none of those more of your settings and things that require much changing, it can do. So it's mostly knobs, sliders, and direct on-off buttons. I think anything where you have to dial in settings, such as quantization, you have to dial in the amount, the percentage, or that sort of stuff, the type, I don't think it has that. So short answer is no. And look, it's not, all these things aren't going to be perfect. MIDI learn's not going to be perfect for everyone and everything. It's going to work for a lot of things a lot of the time. And then for a lot of people, for some people, they'll be super disappointed because, and I get it. I get it when things don't do the one thing you want them to do, and they seem to do everything that other people want them to do. I'm sure there is someone who uses sidechaining on the daily, and they're like, Johns, you couldn't be more wrong. The problems with sidechaining right now make Logic Pro completely unusable for me. And I do. I have genuine sympathy for those folks because I get it. I've had systems like that in the past where I've used them in a particular way, and then they make a change, and suddenly it's completely unusable to me in the way that I used it before. So you do have to adapt and evolve. The other thing, so I showed you the pack. We won't go into details. I demoed the pack the other day on some show. What show was that? Can't recall. But yeah, we definitely had a little play with Dance Floor Rush. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, that's right. We did the Logic Pro Live where we looked at it. So Dance Floor Rush is okay. We've showed you the recording capture, the flashback capture. We've showed MIDI learn. A couple of other things we got that are cool. If you've got a low-level sound like this bass and you want to be able to see your waveform and maybe manipulate it a bit better, let's play this. You've got a normalize function now. So you can come in here and you can normalize region gain. So you can normalize it to a peak. In this case, a peak target level of -2. Let's hit apply. There you go. Now you can hear your bass a lot better. And that normalize function has other functions as well. So if we go to normalize region gain, you can normalize it using loudness as well. So if you want to get a track to a certain LUFS level, instead of it being a peak level, then you can do that as well. So your normalize is cool. It's a bit like the merge feature or the bounce in place feature, but it just has a little bit more control over your sound. So it's great if you record something. So this little vocal part that I recorded before, I recorded it sort of a little low. And this is why I say when you're recording in a digital environment, less is more. If you have a choice between putting your input gain up too high or putting it too low, always put it too low, because the amount of noise floor that we have in our digital environments is so minimal these days that if I grab this and I normalize this up, so let's just normalize it up to even to -1. So we'll go peak, and we'll change this peak to -1. Not 21, -1. And hit done, and hit apply. You're still not going to get a heap of noise in here. Take a listen. So yeah, you'll hear the track in the background a bit because I wasn't wearing headphones. But you're not, remember the old days where if you recorded with a low input gain, you turned it up, what did you get? you got that hiss, you got that background noise, that noise floor. You don't get that anymore. So the normalize function is actually pretty handy for when you record things at a low level. You can't see your waveform, which makes it hard to edit. So by normalizing it, it's not actually changing the sound at all. It's just lifting the volume, and then you can drop your volume slider back down, but actually see your waveform. So I think that could be quite handy for some folks. And the only other real change here is the search and select. So this one, you press the three dots in the middle, you go search and select track, you type in a word, or you give it a track number, and it takes you straight to that track. So kind of handy feature, not when you've got a 4-track or a 5-track, 6-track, but once you get 30 tracks or 100 tracks and you're trying to find that one pad sound that you can't find, or it's nested. So when tracks are nested in other tracks and you can't see them, it'll go in and find them. So kind of handy as well. Oh, Link's 2003 golf game sold. It won't be ported. Yeah. It's very cool. I like a lot of the old games. The porting kit. Yeah, I've got to try those. There's that porting kit on Mac now. I need to get into. If anyone's got any ideas or resources for how I can easily do this sort of stuff, let me know. Because yeah, there's heaps of old games I love playing, and I do actually have upstairs. I have a laptop. It is a Toshiba Satellite 420. It's Pentium 100. It's got the 12-inch TFT active matrix screen, has a CD-ROM drive, so yes, it can do that. And I've been meaning to. It's got built-in sound. The graphics chip's pretty average, but for early CD-ROM DOS games, I reckon it might be okay. So I'm looking to use that because it's got XP on it at the moment, which was the last Windows to kind of still be based on DOS, so you can still play DOS games on that. But yeah, I've never got around to it, and the battery's dead on it, so you've got to use it plugged in, of course. But yeah, one of these. I've got so many, mate. If I ever retire, it'll just be the Pete Johns retirement channel. I'll still just do YouTube, but it'll be me trying to get old laptops working and other things. I'll revamp Studio Live yesterday, and we'll be looking at old gear on there instead. We're coming towards the end of the show here, folks. So if you do have any final questions, comments, or anything else, throw them in here. Today I'm going to be playing with this. I finally got myself a real battery. So I'm doing a lot of stuff with power around the house at the moment. We're getting solar installed and a battery installed for the overall house, but I wanted a solution for on the go, and EcoFlow are apparently the brand to go with. So this is the EcoFlow. I forgot the name of it. Oh man. The EcoFlow River 3 Plus. So it's one of their sort of small to medium-sized ones. Has 3 power points, 1 on the front, 2 on the back. Can be used as a UPS too. So I'm going to, when I'm not using it on the go, I'm going to have it hooked up to my router and my wireless modem, so that it will keep the internet on when the power goes out in the short term. So yeah, and I wanted this, and I want to test this with things like my guitar amp. Apparently sometimes they can generate a little bit of sort of hum or background noise because of the batteries sort of interacting with your gear. But I just thought this would be super handy to have on the go when I am not in the home. And it's like I don't know all the tech specs, but if you hang around, if you're a member or a patron, I'm sure I'll talk more about it as I set it up. But yeah, these things are not cheap. That one was $400 Australian, but you can pick them up for $200, $300, $400, up to like thousands of dollars for the big ones that people that are going out bush for weeks, months at a time. You need to have yourself power. Yeah, having a UPC is cool. And I was about to buy a UPC, and then I realized that you can get these that do both. So it's got a 10 millisecond cutover UPC built in, but it's also standalone power station as well that you can use elsewhere. So when I'm at home, just not using it, I can just have it plugged in there. It'll stay fully charged and powered, and then if the power goes out, you've got 100,000 milliamps of power to use for your devices, and it can power your 65-watt laptop chargers, no problem. People have even powered up space heaters and toasters and things like that. Wouldn't advise doing that, but it won't be for that. But it'll be a bit of fun. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It does give you a few minutes to power things down properly, because a lot of things don't like being turned off and on. And I need to work out if it can. I don't want to power too much stuff but I'll see if it can actually power my computer. The problem is my computer is 2 monitors and the computer and the mixer. So there's like a lot of things that plug into power in my realm here, the speakers as well. So it might be a bit beyond having the computer, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll experiment with that over the next couple of days. That is going to do it for this week's episode. Should we check in? I'll get your bouts set up here because I always forget to do that. But our mate Frank Turzo's Community Pulse show is likely happening right now. Let's do a live look-in over there. There's, I see JJ, Folk Punk. I see Laurie, and I see Frank Turzo. So who's on the show today? Open Mods Night. There you go. That's pretty cool. So it's not going to be a specific featured artist by the looks of it. It's going to be our wonderful moderators and hosts, Frank Turzo, Folk Punk, and Laurie. So the old school crew. And Folk Punk is one of the funniest dudes going around. So go and check out that show here. I'll throw a link. If you're here in the live chat, I'll throw you a bone and throw you a link there. I'll just get this set up to send you over there right now as well. If you do have any final thoughts or questions, please drop them here in the chat. If you're watching on the replay as well, I love you just as much. And in fact, if you have questions, I'm always down there in the comment section below, chatting up a storm. I've got a backlog of about 24 hours that I have to go and answer. I'll go and do that right now. So that's if you've commented on the last couple of days' shows, I'll be updating those and responding to those comments. But if you do have any comments, I'll always answer them. And the caveat on that is YouTube makes it really easy for me to see unanswered comments. It doesn't make it easy for me to have a back and forth conversation. So if you need to have more chat, if you ask me a question, I answer and you're like, you didn't answer that at all. Pete@studiolivetoday.com. What's the name of that new doggo? I will reveal soon. There's just a few final things that we have to work out, and I'll explain all later. But yes, new doggo, new little guy. Him and Basil are good friends. So 2 little boy dogs running around. So with the guinea pig, the dogs, and me, I finally outnumber the ladies around here. I just need my animal brethren to help me with that. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Thomas Christ. Yes, Frank Turzo's Community Pulse is happening now. Jump over there and say g'day. Tell him that Pete says hi and sent you over if you do go and have a look. And if you do want to check this out, remember you can test out Logic Pro for free for a month if you're on iOS, for 3 months if you're on Mac. So if you're a GarageBand user watching GarageBand Weekly going, old mate didn't talk about GarageBand much today, yeah, maybe you want to check out Logic Pro. See if it's for you. If it's not, no harm, no foul. But if it's good, then you're all good to go. Cilantro and basil, yeah, or coriander as we would call it. Here, coriander. Yeah, a little bit tough, isn't it? Or thyme, basil and thyme. Wasn't there rosemary and thyme? There was a TV show called that. All right, that's going to do it, folks. Please, as we say all the time around here, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, keep creating, folks, and I'll see you next time here on GarageBand Weekly. Bye for now.